impressed, man, let's backtrack. The accolades, I have that. The pressure stacked at the weight of a gravel backpack. And shit I wrote a month ago outdated, just like snapbacks. And Seven told me if I want that body, I can snap back. Ain't gonna tag rapping, hit them so hard, they wonder what happened. No capping, hoes lacking, I said.
But we back. So again, just a little run through. I am Khalil Leggett, and we are here with WUNC Youth Voices. Shout out to WUNC Youth Reporting Institute, who had an amazing listening party last week on August 7th. We had stories about everything from fashionability, from fashion designers and sustainability, to what goes on your plate and how climate change affects that, to how microaggressions affect teens today. So we have some truly amazing stories, so I want you to make sure that you tune in when all of those come out. We are going to allow our guests to join in. We will be speaking with the Khalil Nasim. He is a rapper, a poet, and the owner of Black Feel from Henderson, North Carolina. Hello. How are you? How are you doing? Yeah, I think I can hear you now. I'm good. I see we have a lot of love here. We love that. We love that. Please give him all of his flowers. So let's get straight into it. Exactly. We love the love. We love the love. Okay, so some people might recognize you under a different name, which is Two Fly King, which was your previous stage name. So what prompted you to change to Khalil Nasim?
Um, I think just growing up and growing a little bit more in my art, I'm started to go back to my roots a little bit more. You know, Khalil Nasim is my birth name.
Hmm.
And understanding more about myself and understanding more about my artistry, I decided it was time for me to do something that was a little more true to self. Not running from who I am, really just embodying everything that it means to be.
Hmm. We love the growth. We love the growth. So what would you say is the difference between Two Fly King and Khalil Nasim? What would you say is the difference?
King is a lot more aggressive. Khalil
Hmm.
Nasim is a lot more laid back. Um, yeah, yeah, everything good, loving, and peaceful is Khalil Nasim. Yeah, that would be the main difference.
I like it. I like it. So I know before we talked previously about the origins of your music, how you got started into it. And you talked a little bit about the trichotomy between your mom, your grandmother, and your father being great influences of music in your life. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, so I grew up in the hood, and it was a very weird dynamic because I grew up in the house with just my mom. My father wasn't really around in the picture in the household. My mom was there. My dad did come around, you know, and I knew my dad. I had a relationship with him. And kind of where our houses are placed in is my grandmother's.
Hmm.
Um, as a grandma's baby, it's different. And so I love my grandma. She always had me. Is, you know, you can't escape. And so I did have friends that were in the streets. I did have friends that were in the street life, even from a young age and to now, to the present day. My dad was more on the type vibe of like listening to a lot of down south music. He was involved in a little more, the street side of things. My grandmother was church, 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 church. It was no R&B,
Mm-hmm.
no neo soul, just gospel music. And old gospel, so traditional Baptist. You can imagine what that'd be like. Um, and my mom was more on the vibe of like neo soul, jazz, hip hop. Like
Mm-hmm.
Erica Badu, Common, which is kind of what I resonate the most
Right.
with. But I do have a little bit of all of that influence.
I think that's an amazing mix, especially being from the South. A lot of artists that
Mm.
have a similar kind of mix and influences going on there. So, what would you say is your favorite of the two?
You mean of the like? I say definitely my mom. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my mom's influence is like, I mean, I was always around my mom. I was always up under my mama, so listening to um artists like at an early age, like Tribe, De La Soul, Erica Badu, um,
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to some of the people who were when I was younger considered like newer, like Kim, artists like Van Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of those laid back vibes. That's kind of where I'm at today as an adult. Um, and mixing that with hip hop, my mom introduced me to artists like Biggie, Wu-Tang Clan. That was the first hip hop artist that I heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have had a deep emotional connection to music that sounds similar.
And would you say you see a lot of those influences in your own music?
I do now, yes, and that's part of going back to the initial question about the difference between Two Fly King and Khalil Nasim. I think some of my newer music, a lot of my newer music is reflective of those influences more so than as Two Fly King. Um, yeah, so yeah,
Mm.
that's what I was saying.
It's always crazy to see how these things come full circle.
Yeah, without
So,
a doubt.
where would you say that you pull a lot of the inspiration for your music from?
I get inspiration from anything, from life, from photos, from I think a lot of my influence comes from seeing real people in real life. Um, Going to the grocery store and I see a family and they look like they're having a good time together, just enjoying the day. I might go to the record shop and I might
Mm-hmm.
meet somebody working at the record shop that I've never seen before and have a good inspirational conversation with them for maybe 20, 30 minutes. That's just like, being an extrovert, I get to have these type of interactions with people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's inspirational just to see how similar we all are and what's going on in other people's lives. And yeah, that's
Right.
what inspires me to create the most, just seeing real life occur in real time.
So, how would you describe your creative process then?
It's very slow. It's very slow, drawn out. I don't see that as a bad thing. I'm an old man. I like to take my time,
Mm-hmm.
really sit and live with my music. So I might be sitting on a beat for 2 to 3 weeks, before I even put a line down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I might have an idea fumbling around in my head for maybe a year before I actually try to execute anything on it. And I don't feel like I'm on anybody's time but my own time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel comfortable this way, like where I can just be, I can just live. And
Right.
when you looking to make music that stands the test of time, you really want to be able to sit with these things and marinate, so to speak, abide in it,
Mm-hmm.
that's the type of that's how it sticks with people when you sit with it, you're comfortable with what you're saying, you're comfortable with what you're evoking in people. So
Right. And how would you say maybe you're within that creative process, what are some of your favorite aspects of it? So I know we talked a little bit about, mixing and producing and the different
mhm.
aspects of the process.
I think my favorite part of my creative process is finding melodies that match the way that I feel.
Mm,
um a lot of times as rappers, you hear rappers say a lot like we don't listen to hip hop music.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being, it's not that we hate rap. Obviously, we love rap, we do rap, but the music speaks to you in a way when you hear these melodies, they resonate with your soul in a way that brings something out of you that
Mm-hmm.
mere words can't bring out. So, being that I play keys, being able to hear these melodies and things, lay them down on keys, and play them out, and feel those emotions coming out of me in a way that I can articulate through words. That's probably my favorite part of the process.
So you would say you listen to maybe a lot of classical music even?
I listen to a lot of weird stuff. I listen to a lot of alternative pop music.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a lot of jazz. I listen to my favorite genre.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So would you say that you have a favorite song of your own?
Um,
I know it's hard. It's like you picking between all your babies.
yeah. I would say my favorite song probably hasn't been released yet. My favorite song that
Mm-hmm.
I've released to now is my song "Feel Away," and I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm just so proud of the process. Um, I remember like at that time I was in transition. I was homeless when I made that song.
Mm-hmm.
I was living with my aunt actually, and I was staying in her basement. They allowed me to set up my stuff in the basement and record. And I one day I was, and sometimes I get on these kicks where I like lay down a lot of melodies,
Mm-hmm.
and I just, um ended up one like 10 or 12 words tops. But I was sitting with these words for like the long like I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just living with it. It really felt like my father. And I felt like I needed his energy with me so much in that time of my life. It was just inspiring to be able to sit with those lyrics for a long time. The things that I said in the verse. So yeah, I think that's probably my favorite song that I have out now, and it's a vibe. It's dope. So I appreciate that people listen to my music and tell me that they can resonate to it. And so many people pull so many different
Mm-hmm.
things from the songs. Like some people will say, "Man, I love what you was talking about in the verse," or "I love what you was saying here. It really resonated with me." And some people will just say something like, "Bro, I can play this with the homies, with my family. I could play it in the club. I could play it in the car."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting to see how many different takeaways people can get from the music.
That definitely has to be amazing as an artist, just to know that people get so many different things from your music and it's never the same thing.
Right, exactly.
So, for those of you just joining in, I am here with the Khalil Nasim. He is a rapper, a musician, a poet, the owner of Black Field, and we are here on Changing Channels. I am Caitlin Leggett. I work with WUNC Youth Voices. At Youth Voices, we work with the larger part of the Youth Reporting Institute, and this platform allows us to get in touch with a community that we do not always hear from. So, if you know what we do here, we get in touch with everyone that you don't normally hear from. All of the artists, the influencers, everyone from this time that doesn't normally have a voice on WNC, we want to speak to them. So if you have any suggestions, please drop them in the chat, in the DMs, in our under our posts, on our comments, anywhere. Khalil was actually one of those suggestions. So that shows you we do listen. We want to know who y'all want to hear from. So shout out to whoever put you on.
Facts.
Your fans love you. Okay, so let's get back into it. So you're not only a musician, and a poet, but you're also an activist. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it's crazy to hear that now, because for so long I really did deny that side of my life. I'm very passionate about my people, Black people.
Mm-hmm.
Around last year, I think there was a fire sparked under me when I
Mm-hmm.
heard about the killing of George Floyd, and I spoke before I had an interview where I spoke about this before. I was just angry. I
Mm-hmm.
was filled with emotion, rage, and I was living in Henderson. I live in Raleigh now, but I was living in Henderson at the time last year. I remember the day. It was May 31st, 2020. And it was rumors of a riot. There was nobody like saying that they were the person who was in charge of it or whatever. Um, but I decided that day that I wanted to go out and make my voice heard, and I was going to be peaceful about it. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want anything, to happen on my behalf. So I did go, and I let my voice be heard. And I was seen as the impromptu leader of this movement at the end of it all because there was nobody who came forward and said it. But I was, I was very vocal about what I wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I didn't want to accept that at the time, but people were coming to me telling me how much what I did helped. And I just needed to want that more for myself. So as I
Mm-hmm.
grew into that role a little bit more, started doing things like going and talking to city officials about things that I was passionate about, education reform, community enrichment, and race relations. And so these were some things that we brought forward to the city officials in Henderson. I also had a sit down with the North Carolina SBI
Mm-hmm.
around last year in July, and we talked about the same things. And it was some real interesting information that I got out of it. As it stands today, like I said, I've moved, but my passion for my city and for my people, we're organizing. I don't want to speak too much about what it is right now until things are set in stone, but we're organizing and we're looking to do some things for the community here in Wake County,
Mm-hmm.
um, such as community gardening, some more opportunities for community enrichment. And I still want to give back to Henderson as well in a bigger way. So.
Do you feel like you saw change throughout that activism within Henderson?
I saw a change in people's minds. I saw a change in the way people approached activism in
Mm-hmm.
Henderson. I didn't really see as much change from the state of things, which was disappointing, but I had to understand, which some of the people that was working with me that are a little older than me had kind of expressed to me. Um, Henderson is a town where a lot of old retirees come and they looking to spend the rest of their days peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
And that's they don't want a lot of change. They don't want things to happen that's going to shake up the foundation of the city because they
Right.
want something steady, something that's going to continue to be the way that it is. And with that, we did what we could to ensure that we weren't being disrespected or misunderstood in the process because, 63% of Henderson is Black. Black people make up so much of that
Mm-hmm.
population. And a lot of it is run by elderly white people. And we had to find ways to make our voice heard respectfully and effectively. Um, and one of the things that we did was getting the Confederate statue removed, which was it was a tough time. We encountered a
Mm-hmm.
lot of opposition, a lot of racist comments and things like that were thrown at me and a lot of other people that I was protesting with at the time. But to answer your question once again, we saw change in people. We didn't really see change in the system. So, but we still fighting. Is never like the end. We still gonna fight until we see change.
And I think that's definitely something that we can learn even in history. A lot of the change is things that we will never see.
Mm,
There are a lot of things that people worked for even in the 60s during the civil rights movements, during all these different movements was it was change that they never saw. But like you said, it never stops. So I think that brings me back to thinking of your activism. Do you separate your activism and your music and your poetry?
I definitely do. And I used to see it as a bad thing. I didn't want people to look at me and say, "Oh, he's the." Well, let me rephrase that. I used to want people to see me as all of these things at the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's breaking up. Try it one more time. Run it back one more time. Let's see if we can get. Yes.
Can you repeat your question again? I'm sorry. Let
Try
me
it
try
one
to
more
move
time.
it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I had to move to my room. Um, so yeah, but can you repeat your question one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. So, as far as your music and your activism and your poetry, do you separate them?
I do separate them. I never want to be seen in the moment as a person who wears all of these hats consecutively
Mm-hmm.
or simultaneously, rather, at the same time. Um, when I'm rapping, I want to be seen as a rapper. When I'm doing activism, I want to be seen as an activist. When I'm doing poetry, I want to be seen as a poet.
Mm-hmm.
And reason being, um, you never want anybody to discount your talent because they see you doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I never even want to seem like the guy that boasts about doing all of these different things just because I can do it. It's like I feel like it's kind of corny. I
Mm-hmm.
want people to see me in the moment as what I'm doing, who I am in that moment.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
think that's very important too, because sometimes it's hard to appreciate each individual art within its fullness when people see you as these other things. So at the moment,
absolutely,
if I'm spitting poetry, I want you to appreciate the words that I'm saying. Don't ask me why I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter right now.
absolutely,
Appreciate what I'm doing in that very moment. So I think that's very important. And thinking back to a lot of things that 2020 brought out, so you had some really exciting things come out from that year. One of those being your brand Black Field, and the other being switching to music full time. So, can you talk to us a little bit about your brand first?
yeah. So Blackfield is a brand that's dedicated to positively uplifting Black art and culture through clothing and music. I founded this brand in 2021, January 2021. And it's an exciting thing for me. I never saw myself as a designer of any sort, but I have always liked to dabble with art, drawing and sketching and doing digital art and things like that. And so, to be able to embody that now, full time as a clothes designer, along with being the owner of this brand, it's a beautiful thing. Um, One way that Blackfield is committed to uplifting the Black community is through the Blackfield Enrichment Fund,
Mm-hmm.
which is where we collect funds from all of the shirts that we sell and donate some of those net profits to various school systems like the Vance County, Granville County school system, and they're given with the intent of contributing to these different programs in the schools, like the arts programs, music programs, so that kids can come out of school and do things like how I wanted when I was younger. I always wanted to have a good music class, but never had one,
Mm.
and that's very disappointing. So if I can contribute some of my funds to getting a little keyboard or some drums or something like that, absolutely, absolutely, I would love to do that.
I think that's beautiful, being the change agent that so many people need, and maybe that you didn't have, but that you could be for someone else. So,
Mm-hmm.
along the same lines, you switched to music full time. Talk a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about that.
It's scary, man, and it's a scary process because you get so used to consistency with your paycheck, you get so used to consistency with your schedule,
Hmm.
with the way that people deal with you, and you never really get used to not being able to get used to something.
Hmm.
So it's a hard thing to undergo, but I deemed it necessary for the space that I was in, um, being that I'm at this space now where I feel like I'm confident enough in my art and my ability to generate income off of the things that I do as an artist.
Hmm.
Um, to step out like this, I decided it was the perfect time to do it. A lot of my time has been consumed with embarking on these ideas that I previously didn't have enough time to do.
Hmm.
Going to the studio a lot more, networking a lot more, making a lot more beats. Um, yeah, and meeting a lot more people who are in the same space as me, which has been encouraging. People that also are saying like, yeah, we ditched the 9 to 5 route, and now it's that time for us to embody the fullness of what it means to be an artist. It's inspiring, man, yeah, for sure.
Kudos to you for taking that leap. I know that's
Thank
such
you.
an important journey for a lot of artists. So, what are some opportunities that your music as well as your activism have opened up for you?
That's a good question. I think for activism, it's just opened me up to being able to meet all of these different people who have important um, positions in the state and in the country who, want to hear my opinion. Like I got to sit down with William Barber last year,
Mm.
and I spoke with him briefly, and just being able to pick his brain about certain things is like it's an amazing thing. But for him to be able to hear from somebody with me who's like my age, 20 years old, and is passionate about what I do with activism and for the community, I know that was an inspiring situation for him as well. Um, so opening up those opportunities through activism for me to do that, as well as, things like last year being selected to be a member on the Black AF Cipher with Carolina Waves. That was an
Mm.
opportunity that was opened up for me through both music and activism. But obviously, I think it was more so with the activism. Um, and with music, it's opened up opportunities for me to just continue to work with bigger artists. My first time being placed on the charts was this year, with an artist by the name of Locksmith from California,
Mm-hmm.
and we peaked at number 11 on the charts. And it was an exciting thing for me, man. I called my mom, and it was an exciting experience, and you recognize that there's so much weight in the things that you do as an artist when you see how people react to it, and
Mm-hmm.
just to hear how my mom was reacting to those things, it was a beautiful thing. So, and it continues to open up opportunities for me to do things like this, like speaking on this platform and being able to let my voice be heard, being invited into these closed session meetings to let my voice be heard on behalf of my people, as it relates to like race relations,
Mm-hmm.
um, gentrification, things of that nature. When people meet up and have open discussions about these things with people who are trusted and regarded in the community. So
So, with that being said, what can we expect next from Khalil Nasim?
I'm working on an album right now, and I think this is really the transition moment for me, where people really start to see what I mean when I say a lot of the things that I say in my music.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about taking my time when I say, I really like to live with the music. Um, for people to be able to really hear what it sounds like when I'm able to live in the music,
Mm-hmm.
not constricted by jobs or or outside influences that might be negative for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm looking forward to inspiring people through this next project. Also in the future, y'all can expect to see me doing a lot more things on keys. So I'm a keyboardist for a band that'll be playing in October at The Fruit in Durham, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
For ATC festivals, it's called Coin Bread, Bacon and Cheddar Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Culture Power Hour extended brought by Bull City in the Basement. Shout out to Catherine and Allen for that. For inviting me on for that. And I'm excited about being back on stage as a keyboardist for the first time in about 4 years. People get to see me back in this light again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that amongst other things, yeah, mainly working on this album right now and getting excited to get ready to start doing the rollout in the fall and winter time. So yeah.
Well, we are excited for that to come out. We will definitely be tuned in. And I want to give you this moment to plug yourself. Where can we keep up with you, keep up with your brand, your music?
Yeah, so y'all can follow me here on Instagram at I am Khalil Nasim.
Mm-hmm.
These days we don't have a whole lot of new stuff pumping out, but as I said, we're gonna start rolling out for the album in fall and winter time of 2021. Black Phil. You can follow on Instagram at BLKFEEL. You can also visit that website. That's BLKFEEL.com. Blackfield.com is the hub for all things Khalil Nasim, all things Black Phil. You can buy your merch up there. As I said before, the Black Phil Enrichment Fund, we take a portion of our net profits and donate that back to the Vance County, Granville County, Warren, and Franklin County school systems to open up opportunities for students to do things in the arts. So community enrichment and educational reform as well, buying new textbooks, updated textbooks for these kids so that they know what they're reading in real time and can really relate to these things. If that's something that you're passionate about, please don't hesitate to go and buy you a t-shirt. We got some dope designs in there. Um, Designed by me and my brother Michael Nasher, as well as my brother Jose Maldonado. We're really excited about what's going on with Khalil Nasim brand as far as it goes with the music. But I'm equally as excited about Black Phil and the things that we have coming forward in the near future. More t-shirts, more sweaters, hoodies coming soon. Music coming soon. We'll be presenting artists through Black Phil. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll just state one more time for anybody that missed it. My name is Khalil Nasim. You can visit KhalilNasim.com or you can visit blackfield.com. It'll take you to the same place. If you're an artist and you're looking to collaborate, I do work with budgets as far as it goes with beats and verses. I do write for singers and rappers. I do cover art, photography, videography. If these are any of the services that interest you, please don't hesitate to hit me up and get anything done that you need. I also play keys. Anybody that needs a keyboardist for the church. I'm a man that wears 1,000 hats. I don't wear all of them at the same time. But if you need me, I'm here. So appreciate you, Caitlin, NPR, WUNC for having me. Really excited about what we got coming on in the future. Thank
We love a good plug. Okay, I was ready to
you.
tell you to come play the keys for me, and I don't even sing. But I want to thank you again for joining in with us. I hope everyone learned something. If not, go check out those platforms and learn something there. Thank you again for joining in with us. Please give him all the love that he deserves, okay?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, please check me out, Khalil Nasim, on all streaming platforms. My latest single, Disguise, featuring my sister Latone, is out on all streaming platforms, as well as the official video for my single, Feel Away, that I mentioned earlier. Both of these songs are produced by yours truly, so please go and check them out, download it. Thank you so much, Caitlin, WUNC, for having me once
Thank
again.
you. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Peace.
So, thank you everyone for joining us. That was the Khalil Nasim who joined us. And again, this is Changing Channels. I am Caitlin Leggett with WNC Voices. Here we interview young artists and influencers alike from the Carolinas. So stay tuned in to see who we have next.